Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, let's talk about what kind of energies a radionic instrument produces. You know, no matter who gets into radionics, myself included many years ago, and people that are even practitioners, have no idea what is actually being produced from a radionic instrument. Where's the energies? How do you test it? How do you judge it? It's putting off. Everyone is assuming that when you're turning a dial, you're turning a frequency generating unit, meaning a cycles per second. A reality that is out there. People talk about the resonance out there, the 7.8 cycles per second, as being this electromagnetic field of basically the Earth's atmosphere. It's not the Earth itself, by the way. That's another misunderstanding. But this is what the atmosphere is. And it varies dramatically in general. But that is a major energy out there. This is the atmospheric energy. So you don't stick a meter or a pole in the ground and hook it up to a frequency detector and figure out what the actual frequency is of the atmosphere. So without dwelling on that. But the bottom line is that if that was the case, if some sort of electromagnetic frequency was generated by these machines, you would then be able to put an oscilloscope on it and see the frequencies. Simple as that. No, there is no frequencies coming out. There's nothing in radionic circuits, period. Now, you can look at my other videos and we'll show you, which is labeled How to Build a Radionic Instrument. That is a typical radionic instrument based on Roos drowns that has been made for at least 100 years now, and almost everyone has the exact same energy as that. You have basically copper wires. Most of these are wiring insulated type wires, which is basically copper wires with plastic around them that go from a plate, an end plate, down to potentiometers that then go in series through how many dials that is on the machine. Most is 9, some are 1, some are 3, so it varies dramatically yet again. So these are all the problems we have to understand and look at, but they're there. And then the last one goes out to a out plate, and some have another plate, which is your rubbing plate, or basically your out plate is your rubbing plate. So basically the energies are going in, and of course we can demonstrate that right here. Classic, this is only 5 dials. This is one of the first units, metaphysical units ever produced in the United States that I produced myself. Very well made, pure copper plate. This isn't sheet, this is a plate, a thick plate. Brass screws. This plate has a coil underneath it, very much like this. Here's a coil, so it moves the energy. Goes down to 1. This coil connects to here, then connects to here, then connects to here. This one goes down and then connects to here. This then connects into here. So this wire is the one you see coming up here that then goes through this unit. That's how all machines are done. Some have 2 metal plates, some have cups. So, but it's important in the materials you're using of what type of energy is flowing through these machines. So and it doesn't matter, this is non-electric, and that's how most units are used today. Even to this day, for all of those people who want to give credit to other organizations or whatever, or maybe you think that the Radionic Association of England knows something. Well, their main unit that they offer, and it's kind of interesting, they offer 3 units out of the Radionic Association in England, who's been around for a very many years, 40, 50 years, whatever it may be. Certainly should have some idea. I'm not sure. I don't have much contact with them, so I don't really know. And, of course, they aren't beating down my door. So the whole idea is that they have 3 units. They have interestingly enough, a 12 dial is their standard dial unit, very much like this, but instead of 5 dials, they have 12. They have a electronic unit they recommend, and they also have an online computerized unit to them. So I don't think they really know what energies are doing anything. As to say that, well, which one is better? I mean, shouldn't they know? But I won't get into that either. But the bottom line is none of these are producing any electric whatsoever. Now, the electronic unit, the one that is just a number thing, obviously has electric in it, but it's not broadcasting any frequencies. So we got to understand there are no electromagnetic frequencies that are generated by these circuits. They are all no circuit generating. So there's a lot of ways of looking at this, but before we get into the patterns and stuff, and this is going to be all in my master course that's coming out soon, the Great Path course, which is very important for everybody to get, because it explains all this, and I'm not going to do that in detail here. We show you the guts of things. If you're a Patreon member or a All Access member, which you can now access just the radionic information for a lower fee, you can see the guts of what's in all these machines. Even the more, quote, electrified, really hot mess like the SC5 and Hieronymus machines, we show it all to you. So the whole idea is that I remember in the past some ignoramus boob woman who didn't quite understand what radionics was and, well, of course, was a weak-kneed little coward, as most people are. Saying that, well, these units have nothing in them. We were selling some of the units at that time, and I said, that's what radionics is. And she, my Bruce Copeland unit has boards in it. It has all this lead toxins and all these other electric stuff in it. And, of course, he used to do all sorts of things. Now, the electricity never went through the dialing patterns. Never, never, ever. None of his units ever did. He puts wires in there. He puts in fake boards. When I got one of his inexpensive units, we found out it had a surplus CD-ROM circuit in there. I'm assuming he got for pennies. You insert that in there. You then put a light in there so the electrical coil goes strictly, the electrical plug, and I'm sorry I don't still have that unit, goes directly to the light. So when you plug it in, the light comes on. Oh, it's working, Dr. Thor. It's a miracle. So that's exactly what happens, and all of Copeland's units were like that. Now, he certainly has beautiful units. They're made well, and, of course, they're extremely expensive. They were fairly expensive even back then. Now they're even more, and, of course, since his death, whoever owns Bruce Copeland Labs, which seems to be a question, has converted everything over to the digital computerized units, and his German people that were selling his stuff has stolen his stuff, basically, so it appears, and have digitalized everything, made it into making them in China, copying more other people, which is so notorious of the Germans that they copy everything. They have no original ideas. Of course not. So what they're doing is they basically have made frequency generators out of something that's not a frequency generator. So if you're going to get a frequency generator, you can get a really good one for under $1,000, and even a pretty damn good one for a few $100. You don't need to have some sort of goofball machine. One of the problems with Copeland's stuff, at least some of it, is that he also used plastic cups for ins and outs, particularly for his actual homeopathic machines. Well, they're non-conductors, plastic. So what is going on there? So you're going to use electrical frequencies and put it through a non-conducting material? That's like getting a garden hose and shooting it at a cement wall and then going to the other side and saying, "Hey, Dr. Thor, there's no water on the other side here. How come I used the hose at the highest possible pressure? There's nowhere there." So the whole idea is that's exactly what you're doing there. So it's very important to understand that, and this is why we've made our major breakthroughs and understand the type of energies that are out there and what these energies really are. So we get into these situations here, and nobody understands anything. And, of course, when you sell people non-electric units that, when they open them up, look like the ones you'll see in the videos on my channel here, they just don't think anything. It's all a joke. It's all that. It doesn't mean anything. But you don't understand. And secondly, what you don't understand is because the science of all this, which is a very real science, and people have been manifesting, producing results with these kind of technologies for close to 100 years now. So it's irrefutable and scientifically a fact. if you want to go by scientists' understanding of things. So the whole idea is that they don't put out any energy whatsoever, and it's as simple as that. If they put out a frequency, they are a frequency machine. If they're putting out cycles per second, then they are putting out a frequency, then that's a frequency machine. It's not a radionic machine. They're apples and oranges, and I've talked about this. So when we talk about energies that produce things that are non-electric, I can't figure that out. I don't get it. No electricity, it does nothing. Like pyramids? Pyramids do nothing. It's the shape. You can make a pyramid out of anything. Horse dung, and you're going to get a energy coming from it. People who are so hooked into it but know nothing about orgone, or there's no electric orgone, materials were used in layers to accumulate the, quote, energy from the environment. And unfortunately, a lot of toxins as well, but that's another story. So all of this is part of the bigger picture of what's there. So if a radionic machine is dialing and changing internal frequencies that are producing cycles per second energies, because, you know, we don't use the HZ word stolen by some corrupt, rotten Antichrist people, otherwise known as the Germans. Bottom line is cycles per second has been used, and many people were involved in this process of understanding these electrical energies, including the Italians that basically found electricity and produced vice. Galvani, Volta. You think those words came from some goofball Antichrist? Not really. So the whole idea is these are where these things come from. So if it is producing that, you have a frequency generator. And this is what Rife technology has been famous for. They produce actual frequencies, and we just don't know what all this does. Certainly seems to be encouraging. Rife got together, I believe in the 20s, announced to the entire world that there would be no further disease. He had cured everything, and then that he disappeared. He was basically, after that, and after a meeting with a bunch of people, everybody dropped out. This is thought to be pressurized from the medical industry, which was starting at that time, patent medicine, and that what he was doing would rob everybody's of trillions of dollars of profits if this was true. That's the gossip behind it, but I'm not sure that Rife technologies work all that well in the bigger picture. They probably work in some way. It seems encouraging, interesting. But this kind of frequency and putting in your body was worked on by Hula Clark, a chiropractor who eventually ended up in San Diego in Mexico, who died after writing 2 books of the cure of all cancer, died of cancer at 73. Oops. Me making mistakey, people. Oh, let's dig the hole for her. Kloop. So the whole idea is we have to be very careful here. Now, I do appreciate her work and her interest in parasites, and I don't think that totally discredits her work. She did an awful lot of research, seemed to be fairly serious, even though I've heard good and bad things about the running of her establishment, particularly down in Tijuana. Okay. But that's neither here nor there. It's an interesting area that needs to be studied, but not if you can have a pill or have a machine for $50,000 or $500,000, I guess would be more realistic. So we run into those things this is the reality of what's going on here. So we just don't know, but let's get back to the main subject here, the apples and oranges of what radionics is. Now, radionics is a high-level consciousness energy that is amplified through electronics who have been modified at the subatomic level. There's your definition of radionics, people. So, using actual tools is critically important because you have to, at a subatomic level, change these electrical appliances to handle this high consciousness energy that you become a conduit from. You have a small part in the generation of some of these energy, tiny part, maybe 5%, but what you are is a conduit. You filter down, you, in your own way, accumulate that energy, and then you use it through a particular machine, which is non-electric in nature, generally, Now, if you go through dials like this, which, I'm trying to eliminate dials because they don't really do anything, but you do need the numbers, and I don't think common people can get their own rates. They don't really have the skill to do it. Let a professional do that. Use what professionals make. That's part of it. So you don't go to a doctor and you need an operation. Well, I'm going to go buy some surgery tools. Yeah, need one of these knives. We need this over here. Yeah, I'm going to cut myself open and do my own. Is that what you want to do? You're more than happy usually to pay for any operation that's successful, and you should be more than happy to pay for technologies you're going to use the rest of your life to manifest and bring you tens of thousands of times what you paid for that particular instrument. And you need to support the professional people doing the research, not you making something, not you doing this. You don't have the capacity to do that. You don't have the training, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, but so you contribute to it. You want to build your own car? Well, I guess there are car kits out there, but and how did car manufacturers learn to build things and tool things up and everything else? Because they didn't have enough money to make all the stuff because, I want to make my own steel machine. Yeah, melt my own steel and make steel. This is all the stuff that just doesn't make any sense. So, now, what it does with these different energies is as you put them through a particular tool that amplifies the energies, because all you really want is the energy. Dialing a machine gets you that energy. Now, does the pattern underneath do something? Meaning you're having basically copper wires going through aluminum potentiometers that are opening and closing the flow of nothing. Because, the potentiometers or the potential energies there are based in channeling through what are basically electrical energies. A prime example of a potentiometer is a volume control. So when you close the volume control, you don't hear nothing. When you turn it up to 10, you hear loud, you can't hear nothing, it's too loud. So this is exactly how a potentiometer works. So what you're doing with that is you're saying, well, the flow of energy through here is being moderated in a series, and usually a series of 9, of potentiometers. And by doing that, you're regulating this mysterious non-electric energy flow through a particular machine. And how are you connecting to it? You lay something on top of a plate or in a cup that is plastic, and it goes out to a plastic cup, and then you're going to use rubbing to do this. Well, what you're doing here is really hurting the process when you start using copper wires and everything else that are not based for non-electric flow. There are ways of making different wires and systems and other things that are much more advanced. And of course, our new machines will have these in it, and we will continue to look into that. So, we already have all of the information. We are making these machines in the near future, and we'll be having them out. We've had some criminal harassment that stops us from making technology because they don't want us to make it, and this hopefully will be stopped in a very near future as things change over to reliable people to do this, if nothing else myself, but we'll see how all this goes. That's how much they fear it, particularly my technology. Doesn't happen to others because they're all Satanists and goofballs, gym teachers. Yeah, I'm the head of the Goofball Association of America. Yeah, Psychotics Association. Yeah, I'm a gym teacher. So the whole idea is we have all these kind of things that are out there, so we need to understand what's happening. What is the flow of energy? How do they work? Because if you're going to make technology to tap into these and amplify it, then you need to know what the energy is. Simple as that if you don't know. So as I said, people like Bruce Copen, who makes beautiful machines, he's obviously, I never met him, he obviously wrote many books. He was obviously very serious. He built all sorts of cool, rare instruments that I have, color machines. He even had a machine that detects metals and other things. How fascinating is this kind of stuff? So he certainly was a serious guy. I certainly would have loved to have spoken with him and met him. The problem is when you die, your company dies with you because they're really, you're the brains, you're the king, you're the manager, you're everything. So what happens is that someone else takes over, and I don't know whom took over his company, But generally, what happens is that they don't get it. Why they didn't understand the flow of energy and why they went into digitalization, I have no idea. That's just a cop out. There is no digitalizing. What energy? What energy field? So you're computerizing energy from what? What, from past gas? From belches? What energy are you talking about? So all of this doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. So we have to be very understanding of what this is and how it actually works. So when you're dialing this stuff, you're creating this high consciousness energy connection that flows through the unit and in itself starts to work. This has been further proven to be effective. And I don't know how many people have read the book Energy Cure by William Bankston. I talk about him often, because he is a noted researcher for the last 30 or more years who has used psychic methods to cure people of everything. He's done this under controlled condition, including mice and everything else. So he claims, and I don't know how true it all is, but he claims that he has a very high healing rate and has tested everybody to do this, and you can get almost anybody if you follow his relatively simple procedures, which has to do a lot with speed visualization technique, that he has amazing success. And he does have a book out there, and there is a CD course for all of those interested in it. The Energy Cure, William Bankston. Bengston. So, he also has a website. He does little online stuff, etc. But the reason I point to him so much, because I really recommend anybody, and I'm not sure I recommend him, but he does have a many years of research behind this. He doesn't know how to transfer energy properly, doesn't understand all the energy transfer and the type of things that I do, and I'm sure he's not very interested either. He has been recently releasing, quote, charged waters that I have used along with 6 other people who have tested these with 0 results. Really bad stuff, and the actual energy in them is there, but it's very low, whatever that energy is. So they do nothing, his products. Now, apparently, he's verified his psychic process works. But since his waters do nothing, I am very... I've had to step back from supporting him past a certain level. But he has all this work, all this research. He's documented as a professional within the teaching industry. One of these people, and has done it for many years. So we have to look at his stuff and give it quite a study. And he lays out the procedure completely there in his book and CD course. So, it's all there. So if it's certainly something worth investing in. It's a very small price for the books and CDs. I don't know if they're still even in print, but check it out. Certainly you can find the book inexpensively that talks about all this. But it just demonstrates, and the reason I bring him up, it just shows you what intent can do by sending energies to particularly ill individuals, physically ill, and making them work. Now, what that does is verify the fact that if you're turning dials and using a machine like this, which produces more energy just by the fact that you are generating a certain amount of energy by the sacred pattern of lining knobs or dials up like this and connecting them into a grid of copper, you are generating a certain amount of energy. So, all of that is very interesting. So it proves the validity of, quote, but my machines go way past that, quote, psychic tuning. So, and we need to note that. This is 30 years of research and just thinking about making people well and using some little funny visualizations. Huh, Bonnie? So the whole idea is that this is very important to the bigger picture. He's not using frequency generators. He's not hooking up Rife-type machines. He's not using electromagnetism. He's not using any of that and has an incredible heal rate, so he states. Interesting. So if we were to take his processes and then put him through a non-electric unit like this, well, doesn't that kind of verify that that kind of process works? And what you're doing is, this is what? An amplifier and a tuner. This is an amplifier and a tuner. So that means the fact that that just makes a whole hell of a lot of sense in the entire process, doesn't it? Verifying this type of non-electric empowerments. Now, of course, I've taken things way past that using photon carrying energies, amplifying this psychic energy through specially altered tube amplification into transmitters to kind of push it out there. And again, a altered manner through altering the electronics, through altering their energy fields, not going in with a screwdriver, to get much, much better results. So if you understand all this stuff and you understand what's going on, then you will give this the validity that it deserves. But you also have to understand, like Bengston is the only one really that's done things for years and gotten results from it. I'm the only one producing any kind of decent radionic type equipment out there. Everything else is junk, and all the people involved in this industry are dirty criminals. It's just as simple as that. And there's just proof. There's just proof after proof. Just watch them on YouTube and other places where they sit next to Satanists or talk about their good buddy Charles Cosamato, the well-known and published Satanist out there, hooked up to government criminal agents who make all sorts of statements how they can cure everybody illegally, by the way, while they sit there with a horrible disease. Unbelievable. So this type of nonsense that's out there, perpetrated by these people, is done deliberately. If you think any of this is a problem, well, then you are mistaken. If you think that this is just happens. No, this is done deliberately by disinformation agents, people who are directly connected to Satanist criminals and to the government. Plain and simple, that's provable. This ain't it. You got a conspiracy theory, Dr. Thor? Ooh. You thinky things? Are you paranoid? Ooh. And they always love to say that. Yes, we have proof of it. There's proof of people making illegal claims. They're saying they're great buddies that are Satanists, people that go on film showing themselves with well-known Satanists. I mean, it's all there. We have the head of the largest satanic church or organization, I should say, in the world, E.A. Kinetic, who states that his mentor was Carl Wells, the inventor of orgonite, the sewer energy of life, and all of his little criminal Satanist buddies. These are facts, people, and everybody needs to grow up and know what's going on. So as long as you keep supporting failure, you keep supporting criminals, people who are hooked up as government agents and further connected to Satanism and are leading you down the garden path to hell and destruction, that's all we'll get. Keep supporting failure, and guess what? Failure bursts. What is the child of failure? More failure. And that's what society does. Hopefully this has been clear. Until next time.